One quick item to pass along at the top, and then I'll be happy to take your questions. Jen.
General Ryder, there's been a number of incidents in England with drones targeting U.S. bases, kind of swarming U.S. bases, challenging security. Do you believe they have hostile intent? Do you believe they were sent by a foreign adversary? What is happening what can you tell us about these drones?
What I would tell you, Jennifer, is that they are being actively monitored. Installation leaders have determined so far that none of these incursions impact the base residents, the facilities, or the assets that we have on those bases. We're, of course, continuing to work with host nation authorities and our mission partners to ensure the safety of our personnel, our facilities, and the equipment. The bottom line is it's something that we're going to take seriously. We're continuing to look into it, but as of right now has not had any significant mission impact.
Why not shoot them down?
Well, I won't get into force protection measures. We, of course, always maintain the right to defend ourselves if we deem something to be a threat. But again, we'll continue to work with the local host nation authorities there.
Do you think it's linked to the drones that were cited at 3 or 4 different locations back in December of last year that we reported on recently on the state side?
Yeah, I don't want to speculate and draw unnecessary connections. Again, this is something that we'll look into. As you know, small UASs, drones, have become something that's, relatively common now across the landscape. It's something that the department has been looking closely at in terms of how it applies to our facilities, our personnel, whether it's in combat zones or outside of combat zones. But in terms of these particular incidents in the UK versus the ones in the States, again, I don't want to speculate that there's any connection.
They don't appear to be those of hobbyists. Is that correct?
Again, it would be, premature to draw any conclusions. We've got to see what these are. I mean, it's entirely possible that it could be hobbyists or something else. We just got to look into it. So, okay.
Got it.
Come back to the room here, Brandy.
Thank you. Following up on Jen's questions, can you say on the record yet what the intent of any of these drones were? Is it to collect data or signals? Are they conducting surveillance?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to drone on here, but the bottom line is, again, still assessing what these are, and, just don't have anything further to pass along. I'd refer you to U.S. Air Forces in Europe, which I'm sure you're in contact with, just to keep in touch on the latest on that.
And can you share anything yet about how you guys are detecting or countering them?
Again, I don't want to get into the specifics in terms of tactics, techniques, and procedures as it relates to force protection. Certainly, we have a variety of means at our disposal, and we will protect our personnel and our facilities. But, again, just to kind of put this into context, even here in the United States, right, if there are drones that are being flown by hobbyists or some other entity, you want to make sure that you're doing due diligence not only to protect yourself and the safety of others, but also using appropriate measures in order to not inadvertently create second and third order effects. In other words, potentially harming the civilian communities in which we operate in and around. So again, right now the assessment is that these drones have had no operational impact or safety impact on our personnel at any of these facilities. We're keeping a close eye on them. We're, of course, communicating very regularly with the UK host nation authorities, and we'll take appropriate measures, again, to protect our personnel and our people. Sure.
Just a quick follow-up. Have there been any drone incidents domestically since October?
That's a hard question to answer, Jen, because, I mean, the reality is on any given day, Pat Ryder, hobbyist drone pilot, can fly my drone next to a base and it's in and it's out. And is that a drone incident, or are we talking about something, more serious, where like the Langley incident, where there's multiple drones operating over a facility for multiple days? So, again, I don't have any statistics in front of me, but just the reality is that these small aircraft are now ubiquitous across the United States and the world. I have a very close relative of mine who's a drone pilot, and he flies his drone all over and does amateur photography, and what if that drone gets blown or carried by the wind too close to a facility, or, they don't understand the FAA rules, et cetera, et cetera. So this is something that the department, the FAA, and others are looking at in this modern era of small aircraft. How do we make sure that we're responsibly protecting our assets while at the same time not assuming every single aircraft is going to be a threat? So thank you, Charlie.
Welcome back. I hate to go on about it too. However,
Please do drone on.
I have to drone on. This is the third time in 2 weeks. They appear to be coordinated, persistent operations, not the work of a hobbyist. There are reports out of Britain that 60 military personnel have been deployed, 60 British personnel have been deployed. Does this come down to the MOD? Is it down to the Home Office? I mean, there are other ways of taking down drones without shooting them down.
Yeah, and you're right. And again, I won't speak for the MOD. And as I highlighted, of course, the U.S. Military are guests in England, in the United Kingdom, at the invitation of the government of the United Kingdom. So certainly working very closely with the authorities there. We are taking it seriously. We're monitoring, taking appropriate measures. Again, I'm not going to get into the specific TTPs in terms of when and if we feel that we need to take something down. At this point, the assessment is that these do not pose any type of effect on our operations or safety of our personnel. So I don't have an answer. I'd have to refer you to USAFE, but I mean, it's not uncommon if we have small teams that go around the world that are specialists in various capabilities. So I don't have an answer to that question. But I mean, you've got RAF Mildenhall, RAF Lakenheath, RAF Feltwell. All those bases are in close proximity. Literally minutes away from each other. So, again, we'll continue to keep an eye on it. But as of right now, I would just, caution jumping to conclusions about what this is and who's doing it. And we'll just, continue to keep you updated. Thanks very much, everybody. Appreciate it.